never worked. Sean didn't view him as the future. He was overpaid, and Sean was going to get rid of him. It wasn't ever going to work. And so Sean's taken a few shots at Russell, and after coming back to beat the Giants and Jackson Dart, who replaced Russell, here's what Sean said after the game Sunday.
It was a great win. Good team effort to fight back. Tip your hats to New York. Those guys have found a new juice about them, and you could see that on tape. You know, they found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that that change would have happened long after our game.
Well, ouch. Russell Wilson did not like that, went to X. Classless, not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Let's ride. Let's ride. You knew that was coming. First of all, the Russell Wilson story is crazy. It deserves a Netflix special. So Russell Wilson's last 2 years at North Carolina State, 72 touchdowns, best record for NC State in 8 years. And the coach demoted him. Said, you're not going to be an NFL player. I'm going to go with Mike Glennon. What? So he goes to Wisconsin. He scores 39 touchdowns. They go 11-3 and go to the Rose Bowl. I don't think Wisconsin scored 39 touchdowns since he left. And yet he only went in the third round of the draft. He got disrespected again. And then in Seattle, when he's changing the world, he's a unicorn talent. Marshawn Lynch, Pete Carroll, the defense got all the talent. So Russell has lived in this kind of prism of he didn't get respect at NC State, even though he was record-setting. He didn't get respect in Wisconsin, even though he's easily the most productive quarterback they've ever had for a single season. And he didn't get a ton of respect in Seattle. And I think Russell's tired of it. I think he's just tired of it. And, I mean, Pete Carroll chose Geno Smith over him. Sean Payton was willing to deal with the worst dead cap hit in league history to go with Bo Nix. Mike Tomlin said, I'll go with old Aaron Rodgers, who gets hurt more. And Brian Daboll's being investigated by the league because he went over to the injury tent to make sure he didn't have to put Russ back on the field. So, 0 for 4 with coaches. But I think the bigger issue is Russ feels disrespected, but there is a truth about smaller quarterbacks. Let me ask you, how has Tua's career gone the last couple of years? How's Kyler Murray's career gone the last couple of years? And how has Russell's career gone? He's lost his last 7 starts. There are limitations with smaller quarterbacks. They don't last as long, and they do not age well.
All right, well, how's Joe Burrow aging right now? Listen, there is a conversation that I want to have here, and it's not about the limitations of smaller quarterbacks, okay? Because Russell Wilson had been great for a full length of a career, essentially. And then he was in the decline. That's what happens to players. And not everyone ages at the exact same timeline as each other. How do we not know this by now? You interact with people. I assume you got friends and family. Do you guys all age at the identical pace? No. You got brothers, you got siblings, you got sisters, moms, dads, uncles, aunts, cousins, girlfriends, wives, whatever. And you can see everyone ages at all different lengths. Okay, some people go gray right away. Some people lose their hair right away. Yeah, I'll walk around a grocery store, man, and I'll see like an 80-year-old who looks like he could barely stand, have like the thickest head of hair and just like specks of like a little bit of gray. I'm like, man, you don't even look like you could stand and see right now. And yeah, you got that. And then you see like a 25-year-old, 22-year-old who's just gray and, looks like he's about to go any minute. And so the problem is that we're so unforgiving, honestly, in regular life, but let alone in sports. And it is very much, what have you done for me lately? And we now do this where it's, Russ had been great. Russ was literally seen as a bona fide Hall of Famer. He started in his decline. And now we try to pretend like, well, this is kind of like who he's always been. Or he's always been carried. He always has had these limitations. And then it's just like, we have this revisionist history. And it's a bummer. It's a shame. And listen, I'm not like some Russell Wilson truther. Like, I it doesn't really matter to me. But I do think it's a bit of a bummer. And the way how I see it is, listen, Russ definitely did himself no favors. He is not well liked. He does not connect with the guys in the locker room. And I see that. There is this sense of him being like elevated. And that is his own doing. So I get that. But because he opened up that door, and that was his doing, he is then used, I don't want to say as a scapegoat, but one, nobody wants to fight for him. No one wants to be on his side. And two, if anything ever does go wrong, you're pointing the fingers at. You're like, yep, it's him. Yeah, it's him. No, we were losing. It's him. It's him. It's him. It's him. It's him. Yep, him. And it's just, it's the easy out. And I think that's a lot what you see here. And with Sean Payton, listen. I think Sean Payton could have worded what he said better, more carefully. But I don't think it was necessarily an intended shot at Russell Wilson. I don't think it was this like calculate. Like I think he was kind of just being honest, where he was just kind of like, yeah, I see that there's going to be a spark with Jackson Dart, which was true. And he's just saying like, I was hoping you weren't going to do it. I want you to, I'd rather play Russ than Jackson Dart, which is fine. The Giants rather have Jackson Dart playing than Russ. So again, I think Sean Payton, being a grown man and an experienced coach, obviously, for a million years, could have worded that differently. And, I think, it's okay to be able to compliment your opponent, Jackson Dart, the New York Giants, and say, hey, Jackson Dart's a heck of a kid. He's been playing great. It was a lot of fun going out there, and I'm looking to future battles and whatnot. And if you were really trying to just be polite, you could have thrown in Russell Wilson, where you say, hey, this team will be great either or. But like, there's no way in that situation to even really like compliment Russ or in a way that you could compliment Jackson Dart that doesn't feel that you're then pulling down Russell Wilson necessarily. Like, I just, I don't know. And listen, I think it's fine what Russ did as well, honestly, because it's just like whatever. But I mean, Russ has been getting a lot of disrespect, and it's one thing knocking him for how he's playing right now. It's another thing just to kind of knock him for his entire career, because Russ is kind of like, I've done a lot in this NFL. And right, you name these other quarterbacks, like this is what Colin is. Colin's like saying, well, how about Tua? How about Kyler Murray? And he's like naming all these people, and it's like, yeah. And look what Russ has accomplished, and look what those guys never have accomplished. No one has ever really had an honest conversation about like, well, is Tua a Hall of Famer? Is Kyler a Hall of Famer? And it's just like, no one's having that conversation. You're seeing Kyler and Tua in their prime being treated like Russ is being treated in his last couple of years of his career. So when Russ was in his prime, when Russ was in his peak, like he was seen. I mean, that's why he was being off. I mean, that's why there was like, he had real options when he was leaving Seattle. People were like, everybody was like, we'll pay him a couple hundred million, everybody was like, let's go. And if he was able to continue playing the way how he could have, it wouldn't have been the worst move. But then he started going down on the decline. So did Peyton Manning. So did Tom Brady. So did every other quarterback that's ever retired. It just is what it is. But I feel as though we let that skew our overall perception of Russell Wilson and what he was able to achieve as a whole. And again, part of it is his own doing, his own personality. People obviously do not like him. But it was also one of those things with Russ where once he got tagged that way, it's almost then like, it's going to remain no matter where he goes, right? Like it's just kind of human nature, man. It's the same. Think about when you were in like grade school and some kid just got tagged as just like, I don't know, not cool, kind of nerdy, kind of weird, whatever. It was essentially impossible. No matter what that kid did, it was essentially impossible to break free from that. It's just like, nope. I remember in school, some kid, he was like the new kid when we were in like, I don't know, man, like 4th grade or something. All right. That kid's entire life, he was the new kid, essentially. I mean, like, he had now been with us in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. He was just always the weird new kid. Yeah, he wasn't really with us. He wasn't with us since, like, kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. He missed those years. And that's, you know, he wasn't an original. He wasn't an original. He was just always, like, kind of like, you know, he was that new kid that came in 4th grade, and it's like, yeah, that was like 8 years ago. You know, like we've done a lot, right? We went through elementary school, middle school, high school, like what? And it's just like that's what happens, and you often never break from that. You really don't. I talked about this before, like, and I'll end it here. I mean, when I was a drug and alcohol therapist at a men's and patient rehab facility, like, you'll be shocked. I'm working with people who are 45, 50, 60, 70, whatever, and they still view their life through this, like, high school lens. They'll be, anytime you're talking about their past, they'll always be like, well, I was pretty popular in high school, or you know, like I was always really social, or I was always shy, and they're always, like, referencing what they did in grade school, and you're like, bro, that was 50 years ago. What you did when you were 15, like, we're not really here to unpack that right now, quite frankly. We need to figure out how to get you clean and sober, like, today, in modern time, not what you did in 1983, okay? But it's just, you get so stuck in those ways, and it's similar to these athletes, and not to mention, most of these guys are going to be 25, 26, 27. You know, it's not that long ago that they're still kind of riding that, you know, grade school mentality. And that's what you see a lot here. That is, it's what you see a lot here. And I feel for Russ, but also, again, you know, I could see Russ, you know, I could see someone like me not 100% getting along with Russ as well, but I could also see that, yeah, he can feel a little insincere at times, but it's also based off of him being kind of, like, genuine in his own right, and it's just a different brand of sincerity, and actually probably born out of a lot of, you know, coming from an actual better place than maybe it appears to be. But I don't know, you know, takes like this, conversations like this, I often ignore or just kind of whatever, but I thought the conversation itself is a little bit interesting. And right now, you look at the schedule. Have you guys seen the schedule this week? There's, like, nothing. The best game we got is the Packers versus the Steelers, and that's obviously only because of Aaron and Green Bay. Otherwise, like, that game would be just kind of like, okay. You know, the Eagles and the Giants, there's a little bit of that revenge factor because of how the Giants played against the Eagles. And then, you know, I guess the Cowboys, Broncos, but for the most part, man, we got a lot of games where you're just like, what am I watching right now? So, you know, it is what it is. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Russell Wilson? Kind of just the whole perception about him over these years. Was he ever great? Is he overrated, underrated, underappreciated, overappreciated? Do you think Sean Payton was genuinely trying to, you know, take any shots at him, and Russ's response? Let me know what you think about your Real Housewives of the NFL drama. Put your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.